Senses far behind. Red flags, red flags, waving high. I close my eyes. Red flags, red flags. Truth disguised in pretty lies. Red flags, can't ignore them anymore. Red flags, they were warnings I ignored. Time to reassess our actions. All that glitters can't be gold. Time to dig a little deeper. Hear the stories left untold. Red flags. Red flags.
Hello and welcome to another live stream with me, Jan's Views on Crime. How are you all? It is wonderful to see you here. I have a very exciting guest for you. Hopefully she's going to be able to get up here very soon. Alongside Duncan, we've got our Dunks in the house as well. And hopefully he's already arrived. I want to say a huge thank you to everybody that's joining us this evening. It's although I like to dance along to my song at the beginning, I also am very serious about the Jay Slater case, as I'm sure you're all aware. So we're going to wait for Dunks. Hopefully he's in the house. I've got somebody waiting in the green room. And yeah, we're up for it tonight, guys. We're all ready. I've got my water and all ready to go. I had a hiccup with the beginning of the stream. I don't know whether it aired, what happened, but all of a sudden it was like it wouldn't go live, and I was like, oh my god. So we've got that sorted now, and I hope you're all well. I hope you've all had a good week. I hope you're all keeping warm, and if Dunks wants to click on the link, then he's very welcome to come up. Right guys, I've got an issue with my audio, so what I'm going to do is when you guys are talking, I'm going to mute myself, which isn't easy, but I'm going to do it. So let's start by introducing Duncan to the platform, to the panel. I'm still here. Okay, how you doing, Dunks?
Everything really good on my end. Good to see you, Jan. Good to see you, all the audience. Quite a few people there. Commenters ready. Yeah, everything's good. Everything's good. What's up with you, Jan?
Yeah, I've had a productive day preparing for tonight, and I want to add the very beautiful Marianna to the stage. Here she is. Hello, girl.
Hi, how are you? Hello.
I'm fine. If there's a pause, it's because I have to click off my microphone in order to let you talk. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. I hope you guys are all suitably excited to have Marianna on here. as indeed I am, and I'm sure Duncan is too. So let's get this started. Tonight we're going to be talking about the trolls. And the first question I want to put out to either of you is, when did you first notice the trolls in the Jay Slater case?
I'll let Duncan go first.
Okay. Well, remember, I didn't jump in on this case early on. So it was about 2, maybe 3 months into it before I decided to make any video or say a thing. I mean, I was very observant and I followed it from day one, but I was in a different situation, I think, from some others, that I could see how very nasty and bitter it got from day one. And Wax made a video today where he made the same point, that he was saying he hasn't known any case, anything like this, where the vitriol and the piling in, the aggro, that comes with making comments. He hasn't seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it. But luckily, Jan, for me, I could see how it was going. So I knew when I entered the arena what it was like. I knew what to expect. And to be honest, I feel sorry for those that, started off and then suffered as it got worse and worse. So I guess my answer, Jan, is I knew what it was like when I got into it. I am surprised, though, it has gone on for so long. You would have thought, given that, the inquest has gone their way, the documentary's gone their way, everything has gone their way, wouldn't you have thought the accident group would say, then we are done? But the trolling and the vitriol is getting worse and worse and worse. So that's the thing that surprised me.
Marianna? When
sorry
did
for
you
the
first
awkward
notice
pause. Sorry
it?
for the awkward pause. I never know when to come in. So for me, the trolling probably started 1 month in. So I posted on the Jay Slater case the second day, so the 18th of June. And obviously my content, like I said in my videos, with my content, I gained about 32,000 followers just from the content. So people have discovered me, but they've learnt about me alongside just the content, if that makes sense. Because I do a lot online about substance abuse awareness, mental health, because we've all been through it, right? So it's good to educate. And if you can help one person, brilliant. So anyway, going back to your question, yeah, I endured the trolling probably 1 month in. It's not been as heavy as what it's been for the last month, ever since being put on the documentary. Again, snipping of the video to suit the narrative, just like the trolls do, because they snip our videos to put it in a certain context to suit their narrative. But yeah, no, the trolling has pretty much gone on since the start of this case. I mean, I've had some, I don't know what you can and can't say on here, so I'm going to say D-threats in my inbox. I've had vile abuse in my inbox. A lot of it uneducated words that is just a jumble and it doesn't make sense. Some of the people I know who it's from, and obviously the people that send it, they then block. So obviously you can't see the account username. But they've all got a very similar type of wording. So I know where some of it is coming from.
Yes, I have to say, I've noticed that they all, as you say, their vocabulary is very similar. They write in a certain fashion, so they obviously speak in a certain fashion. And so it's not difficult to sort of surmise, I guess, or what type of person they are. And it's quite interesting. I wanted to sort of have some statements that I could show you up on the screen, but then I thought, well, let's just deal with talking about things at the moment. So you came over from TikTok, Marianna. So is it different over on TikTok as far as trolling is concerned?
Oh, I mean, TikTok have these community guidelines. Oh my God, you might as well throw them in the bin or be non-existent. So you will have people putting up videos of you talking about calling you an addict. I'm like 512 days drink and rug free, by the way. So just to say that. But when you report, appreciate that, thank you. When people are putting up these videos saying that you're a rug user and things like that, and you report it for rug use, I say rug because I don't know if you can say it on here. It comes back no violation found. It doesn't make sense. Yet I will put a video up of me dancing, fully clothed, and it gets done for nudity. Make that make sense. It doesn't. Like, TikTok's guidelines are very backwards.
And Duncan, what about you? Have you been putting any dancing videos up with the fully clothed?
I think that's where Marianna has the edge, because if all goes really badly for her, she can just keep dancing, and I don't have that option. So, big disadvantage for me on that front. Um, yeah, I'm also on TikTok. I don't pay much attention to TikTok, but I got a couple of thousand plus viewers there. And there's a bit of a crossover. Some people do TikTok, some people do YouTube. They have their preferences. But there is a clan, a TikTok clan that they love it. They're just there. They don't go onto YouTube or anywhere else that much. And I got to say, I think it's because the comments in TikTok seem to be pretty short and sharp. So I don't get a whole lot of lengthy abuse there. I get a few short, sharp comments, which is fine. Um, I think what I've heard, and I'm glad I never got involved in it, I've heard that on TikTok there are some really tight, clans, almost like gangs, that act and prowl together against others, other individuals, and other commenters. Um, like I say, I haven't really got into it, but yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff that's happened on TikTok that just seems like it's some Sicilian feud going on, and it keeps ratcheting up higher and higher. So glad I never really got into that whole TikTok thing. YouTube, yeah, I mean, you got the likes of Sluggy and Chris and their gangs that I think have been pretty abusive. I don't know. I'm going to throw it back to you, Jan. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jan, but you haven't had much of it. You've pretty much been under the radar. But like Marianne was saying, like the last month or so, you've been dragged in for whatever reason, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They've been jumping on comments and putting out other things that have nothing to do with my channel, really. And it's all about fabricating and putting these fabrications out there that they've just made up themselves. And as Marianna said, they clip pieces of videos that you've been on and just move it around to make it seem that you're a completely different person to who you actually are. And that's where I think live streams are very helpful in allowing people to see who you actually are, and that we are human beings, and we're not hateful people. I remember Dunks, you mentioning earlier on about and you actually showed something of where YouTube have actually said no, that your content is not against terms of service, but these people will mass flag your channel until it's taken down. And YouTube really need in their back room, or in behind the scenes, YouTube is all robots, so it all works on the words that you use. And these people know exactly what words to use to get your channel taken down. And it doesn't even have to be words that you've used, it's words that they use as they're flagging your channel. It's a real problem, and it's not just in the in the true crime community. It's in so many different communities. So I want to ask you, Marianna, would you say, I mean, as Duncan has said, I think we know where our trolls are coming from. Okay, we know who they are. Is it the same people that are coming for you on TikTok, or is it because you've now got a channel over here on YouTube?
So it depends. I mean, I'm going to drop a couple of names in there just to see if you guys are familiar with the names. So obviously you got Red Sparrowhawk. He's known on TikTok for that, but he also goes under the name J Newts. So I'm not sure if you come across him on TikTok, not TikTok, YouTube. You've also got Lola, Lola Pumpkin, or Her Love Didn't Fail. Yeah, she's a prolific one. But the thing is with her, the problem is she'll put out really spiteful comments or content, and then she'll bring it back and blame it on because she's got autism or she hasn't got long to live, and she's not taking accountability just for being a dickhead. It doesn't make sense. But the fact is, like, I don't know, it's very different. I had someone, when I had a YouTube channel, I had someone called Savage Shark. I know you guys have seen this person. I can't remember the YouTube trollers, but they're all going to be interlinked with the TikToks. They're all working on it together to shut us all down.
Yeah. What do you think, Duncan? Do you think there's some sort of correlation between the two channels, or I suppose what I'm getting at is, is there a crossover with the trolls and the hatefulness and the abuse? Are they the same people on TikTok to YouTube?
I don't know for sure. I have a feeling that there's a small group of people that have various, handles, names, devices, what have you. And what amazes me is they seem to have plenty of time all day, every day, to flip from one video to another and do the trolling and the abusive commenting and all that. Um, yeah, I think there's a lot of crossover. And in my naivety early on, I really did think that these were different individual people coming up with random thoughts. I didn't think that it could be, possible or even a good idea for these people to group together to say who should we target now or what should we say now. But the last month or so, it has been coordinated, I think. And going back to what you said earlier about, knowing the words and knowing what to say to get a reaction, to get a channel removed. Again, I was very naive in that. I was like, well, how can a certain word or a certain reaction be key to anything? Why would a robot be concerned about that? But yeah, even I now see through trial and error, if you do say the wrong thing and it gets flagged, then sure enough, the robot will take you down. So, I mean, let's give them credit here. I think they know their game very well. They play it very well. But I mean, it obviously doesn't get anywhere as far as solving anything in the Jay Slater case. It's another of those distractions that Wax likes talking about. It's something that they do, and it is true. Every minute I spend thinking, shall I appeal that or shall I let it go? Well, if I appeal it does take time. There's another hour of my day gone. So that's the annoying thing for me. I quite like, reading the stuff and that appeal that you talked about. When I look through what is harassment and it gave you all the different examples of it, I was like, well, nothing I said fits that, so I'll appeal it. But, it's an hour gone from your day, and that's a precious hour.
So, Marianna, do you want to talk a little bit more about TikTok? I'm guessing that your main problem at the moment is from the TikTok trolls. So, do you want to talk some more about that? Share that with us.
Yeah, of course, I'd be happy to. So what it is, these people on TikTok, again, I completely agree when Duncan said they're coming in masses. It is all fake accounts. But the thing is, with these accounts, they're not on an IP. They're all using a VPN. Fake name, fake photos, VPN. They're undiscoverable. And that is purely for a reason. And like Duncan said, it is taking the focus away from the Jay Slater case and, in a way, a distraction. Now, what these people are doing is they're trolling us for our content, right? And they're going constantly chipping away. But then we fight back and we're obviously giving them, oh yeah, all right then. And you put in their @ or whatever their username with the comments they're saying. And then they fight back. But the thing is, they're not even fighting back in regards to our content anymore. In my case, they're going for my elderly parents. My mum's 72. One of them messaged her today on Facebook. They doxed their address on a TikTok platform. They've put old photos of my brother up. They're taking the mick. Obviously, my brother, oh my God. So he must have been about 19 here. And it's a photo, he's out, and let me do a prop. So he's out in the club. He's got a bottle of Grey Goose. I don't drink, obviously. Bottle of Grey Goose, and his top says, obviously, it has a word that's drugs on it. Anyway, they've then put a video up saying it runs in the family. And I'm like, number one, he's never even touched that. So don't even act like you know him. But number two, like calling me an addict and stuff. Like, they report all my substance misuse videos. And it's stopping the awareness get out. But it's more so for the fact of the personal attack, taking a mick out on my mental health, and then going for my elderly parents. It doesn't make sense. My parents aren't the one that created a GoFundMe, that went all public, that raised a case, that pushed all the media in front of everyone's faces. They didn't do that. Just because I post content, that doesn't bring it back to my parents at all. Like, keep it between you and I. It doesn't need to go between my parents. Like, that's when you know they're the bottom of the barrel, because they couldn't care less. Like, they are the bottom of the barrel. Her, Lola Pumpkin, and Jay Newt's Red Sparrow, they're literally probably worse than AIDS, if I'm honest. Worse than AIDS.
Duncan, I know I'm sure I've heard you speak about Lola. What do you know about her?
I know absolutely nothing about her, and I mean that. I've no idea if Lola is a her to start with. I've heard a person, a woman, doing a live with Kaz Alice. It's definitely female, goes by the name of Lola. But the problem is, you're never really sure if the Lola whose message you're reading on your channel is the same Lola. And that's why I tend to focus on what they write, because if you're very attentive to the style and what they say and all that, you can tend to pick out, well, that's not the same person, or it's quite likely to be the same person. But it's a weird world when you think, oh yeah, Lola, so that's the person that's writing to me. And then you think, I've no idea who is writing to me, actually. Lola Pumpkin and what have you. God knows who she is. Um, I'm in a bit of an unusual situation in that I quite like the the exchange, the verbal challenge, and this is where I think if I can try to draw a quick distinction between Marianna and me, I think when Marianna is mentioning her elderly parents and the picture of the brother and all that, I can see that to her is very personal, and that is, out of bounds, and she was really shocked by it. I'm a little bit the other way round, and I know this sounds crazy, but if I see that, let's say it's someone in my family or even a good friend, I'm kind of like, okay, let's see where this goes. Because if you want to try to contact that person, write to that person, call to that person, and I've got like a digital trace on you, I am coming for you too. This is a double track thing. It's not a one-way street. And this might sound a little bit, I don't know, aggressive, but I'm not going to just take someone saying, well, I'm going to contact someone, so I'm going to say this, I'm going to go ahead. Let's see where this ends up because as far as my clan goes, they're ready and waiting, and it's all guns blazing. Now, there are two sides to this, Jan, because you've told me that, on the other hand, you don't want to draw attention to the people, especially those that have a very small channel, that do this kind of stuff. Because, yeah, you're right. If you give them attention, that's probably what they want. But on the other hand, there is that line there. It's like, okay, if you're going to contact one of mine, believe me, I'll contact 10 of yours. And this is where the feuding comes in. And I feel sorry for Marianna because I think she was really surprised at how vicious it got directed at her. But yeah, I wasn't, and it just doesn't get to me or people that know me as much. But that's we're all different, and I think I can kind of weather that. Some people can, some people can't. As far as I know, Jan, you've not had anyone actually contacting your family or you, have they?
No, no, they haven't actually contacted them. And quite honestly, I mean, my kids are much more grown up now, and they've got their own lives, and they're not actually YouTubers or anything like that. But they're all adults, so I'm sure that they wouldn't pay any attention to what was being said or whatever. But it just what the thing I don't understand is why they feel that they have a right to do that. I mean, why are they our enemies? I don't understand it. I'm not looking at them as being my enemies. I'm just like, well, they're just, when does it become harassment rather than just trolling people? And I think what we have been going through, especially, us three who have been dealing with the Jay Slater case, I don't understand why these people feel that they have to abuse and harass you. I think the very first time I really became aware of it in the Jay Slater case was from you, Duncan, when you used to start talking about, the Luggy and the things that he used to say about you and this and that. And I'd be like, but why are you doing that? We're all just trying to find out what happened to this young man. We're not out here looking to have an argument with you. I just don't get it. So I haven't seen the video, Wax's video today. Have you seen it? And what's it about?
Yeah, it's just a follow-up video on what he did before about trolls, and I mean his theory is that the trolls especially in the early days of the Jay Slater case, are deliberately acting as trolls as a distraction, and they form the basis of an excuse. For example, Rachel Hargreaves saying, oh, we've got these fake accounts that are being set up. Don't send any money to them, and the trolling is terrible. And I think we had Lucy say to Haley Comet, oh, I got rid of all of the chats on my phone because there were so many trolls coming in. I think Wax's point is that the whole trolling thing is a must for the accident group because all of the trolling activity acts as a great distraction to the case itself. And he was, following up on his ideas today. And I was like, well, yeah, exactly so. If we took the whole notion of I'm being trolled, woe is me, out of the picture, the entire focus would have to be on the Jay Slater case and not all the talk that goes around it. So, I mean, I think he's 100% true, 100% right. And I think it is true that in the early days, there was no reason for there to be any trolling as such. It raises the question, who is doing this trolling? Because it's not our side. If you take the first 3 days of the case, it's not those that are suspecting foul play that are writing in, to Debbie Duncan or wherever, acting as trolls. We're just trying to find out what happened. But it does make a lot of sense that those that might have been involved in Jay's demise would be doing whatever it takes to make this look like something other than, foul play. So I think Wax is exactly right about that. It's trolling for the sake of trolling, and it takes everyone's focus off the main the main point.
Are you in agreement with that, Marianna? Do you see it as a form of distraction, really, isn't it? Where everybody is now going to concentrate on the trolls as opposed to, actually carrying on looking at the case?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interject there. I'm not used to this YouTube thing. I think, yes, it is a distraction. However, the thing is, what we've got to consider here is the trolls, they've got quite a small following. So they're obviously trying to reach out onto the FYP, or the feed is what you call it on YouTube, I think. So yes, it is a distraction technique. However, it is also a personal attack. They're trying to shut us down, yet they've saved all of our videos right back from the beginning, and they're posting it themselves. So, oh yeah, you can't post your content, but we're going to post yours. It doesn't make sense, does it?
No, it certainly doesn't. It's like, it's just weird. And it's like Duncan said, I've never said anything about the accident group people, and I know, you know, Duncan has, and he's done it in self-defense. Why shouldn't Duncan say to them, well, you know, you've said this about me, well, I think you're this. Why shouldn't he defend himself? But I think it goes beyond that. It goes beyond playground mentality. It actually goes into real life, and that is not fair, especially when when they are targeting our loved ones, because that's what it is, Marianna. They are targeting our loved ones, and they can't get to my parents because both mine are dead. So they go for my kids. That's what they do, and it's absolutely disgusting. And I wish that there was a way that YouTube would pay attention to that and recognize exactly what's going on. But the problem is, YouTube is such a huge organization, such a huge company with so many millions of videos out there. They're not going to pay any attention to us, you know, and all our little spits and spats as they see it. But I really think they should do. So, what are your plans with moving forward, Marianna?
My plans moving forward, obviously, I quite enjoy fighting back, if that makes sense. I have got one thing up my sleeve at the moment, which I'll drop you guys an email about. I think you guys will like it. And that isn't me talking cryptic to the people. I can't even read people's comments, so hi. But when it comes to obviously the Jay Slater content, unless it comes out saying that, yeah, you know what, it is foul play, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to be like, told ya. But other than that, in regards to my content on it, as sad as it is, because I've been invested in it from day 2, I'm not doing it anymore. It's not worth it. But the fact is, these people are still coming from my family, even though I'm not posting it on anymore. So it's a catch-22, really. If they're still going for them, then I might as well crack on with my content, if I'm honest, because, you know, they haven't kept up their part of their deal as such.
Exactly, and I feel exactly the same way. Right, hang on, I'm playing, but we'll be back. There we are. Right, there was something else I wanted to touch on. Dunks, what else did you want to add as regards oh, I know what I was going to say. In my comment section, when I said I was doing this live, some people were saying, coming on defending the likes of Cullen and Benji, and, you know, why are you trying to loop them into it? And I left a comment and I said, well, the only reason I replied to Benji is because he was so immature to Duncan, and he started going into Mama D's live streams and, you know, trolling in there. And I've never said that he was involved with the case, but I did react to him, and as far as I thought he was just talking a whole load of bull. And then do you remember the poem he put out, Dunks?
I do, and I never had it was no big deal to me at all. I think sometimes there is a grey area where you think, hang on, is that, too aggressive? Is that too abusive? Should I react to it? But something like, a childish poem with the likes of Benji, I think GBH is his middle initials or something. When he's doing that kind of stuff. It's no big deal. I mean, go ahead. I'm all fine with that. That's not threatening to me. It's not threatening. You can make a joke about someone. You can, even in your case, Jan. I think there was one guy that came on, and I think he was joking. He was talking about you. He said, is that a man or a woman that's hosting this? Okay, it's off humor. But you didn't react to it. I didn't react to it. It was like, okay, that's your humor. That is very, very different from the threatening behavior. But I do want to touch on something that I think a lot of people talk about a grey area, and it will always come back to this. Was that when Luggy was out there claiming to be Luggy. That was his name. And for the longest time, a load of people were saying, oh, he's James Stanley Lugg. And there is a guy called James Stanley Lugg who's a publican and, you know, he's got his pub in Wales. And that's when I jumped in and I said, let's stop this nonsense. You know, he's not Luggy. And I'm going to tell you who he is and where he lives and as much as I know about him as I can. Now, to me, that wasn't doxing. And I'll tell you why it wasn't doxing. Number one, there's got to be some evil intent to doxing. And at that point, I had no idea who Luggy was. There was no evil intent whatsoever. But what got my goat was that Luggy was the one that inserted himself into the Jay Slater case. And I felt that it was in the public interest to know who this guy is. His real name is Ivor Lovelace. He does live in Fishguard, Wales. He has worked on rigs in the North Sea. Now then, let's start from that. And I think people took that to, well, you know, you started it. Okay, if I started it, you can do the same about me. And no big deal. Now, my point here, Jan, is that no one's ever heard me actually complain about any information that has, you know, been found out about me and put out there. Like I say, I was prepared for this, quite happy for it to be out there. And in a weird kind of way, I quite like the cat and mouse thing. I kind of get a thrill when I can see Chris or Luggy saying, we found where he lives. Obviously, I live in a cloud or in a prison cell in Lebanon. You can see where I am. So no big deal. But my point is, I don't actually mind that to and fro. But I will say again, to me, the difference is there is no evil intent. But I want the world to know that Luggy isn't Luggy. He's Ivor Lovelace. And if I can put one more point about this, ever since I did that, ever since I did it, talk about doing something for the public good. He hasn't had the guts to actually do a video where he stares the world in the face and starts talking. I think it knocked the absolute stuffing out of him. And yes, I will accept a medal for services to the general public. I think it told Luggy, you're not going to pull the wool over our eyes every time. Wool, not meaning a joke about the Welsh connection, but you're not going to pull the wool over our eyes every time like this. I know who you are. We now know who you are. So bugger off. Now, if you want to do the same to me, go ahead. But he doesn't. He gets his whole army to start doing the whole threatening thing. You see, he was out there saying, "Well, I know where Duncan lives, and I've got a man on the street, and I've seen him up in his balcony." Okay, so that's to me another step up. You're actually getting very threatening in that way, with the aim, I think, of scaring whether it be Mrs. Smith or my neighbours. I don't know, but that's how it got ratcheted up. But well, I've gone on too long. But Jan, you see how I think the other side see how it started. I'm just saying I was never the person that inserted myself in the Jay Slater case. I was a commenter, and my comment was, Luggy is not Luggy. He's Ivor Lovelace. End of.
Yeah, you've made a very good point there, Dunks. And also, I mean, I know on my live stream and I know on other live streams I've been on, we've always encouraged them to come up and speak to us. We're normal people. We're not going to just, shout abuse at you. And none of them seem to want to be able to do that. And that to me is weird. I mean, if you've got a lot to say for yourself, then you say it. I mean, we've got our channels, we say it on our channels. But if we're doing a live stream, you're welcome to come up. Come and join us. Tell us why you think this, we're wrong in this and we're wrong in saying that. Just come and tell us. But it seems that these trolls want to be invisible. They want to be anonymous. Why? If I've got a good point to make about something, then I'll jolly well say it and I'll put my face to it as well. I don't care whether you want to say it or not. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to put my face to it. So what are your thoughts on that, Marianna?
Well, this is the thing where you and a lot of others are absolutely right when it comes to the troll accounts, because they don't put a face to the name. They probably will never come up on here, and if they do, they'll be hidden behind an emoji. Despite, obviously, where you've got the trolls, you've got, obviously, the people that back them up, which is a minority in comparison to other people like Wax, Duncan, yourself, and myself, we've got more people that would back us, if that makes sense. They probably would get shut down. But this is what my point with the trollers are. They're going for a certain amount of TikTokers and YouTubers that have the highest influence, that have the highest views or likes or whatever. And that's who they're going for. They're not going for these small time content creators that are maybe, no disrespect, but that maybe got like 1,000 to 2,000 followers. They're not going for people like that because they haven't. Yes, their videos might have made it massive on TikTok, but their influence rate isn't as high. So obviously, where you've got content creators like ourselves, and you're getting that feedback back, yeah, we're gonna be the ones in the firing line first at the moment.
Yes, unfortunately, but that's why, I'm always amazed that they've even mentioned me. I mean, I started off by just commentating on, say, Duncan's channel or on Wax's channel. And obviously, over time, it became obvious what my thoughts were. I mean, I've got the opportunity to say what my thoughts are, and I back them up. I don't just pull them out of the sky. So, I just don't understand the mentality of these people. And it's like, Duncan, I don't know if you remember when Benji first started coming for you, and he was like, all the insults, the childish insults. It was like, oh, you've got a small willy. It's like, what? So when I first did a video about him, that's all I spoke about. I said, I can't believe how immature and childish these people are. And you just have to laugh. It's like, for goodness sake, how old are you, man? And that's the sort of person I am. I'm very sort of loud, and I will say how I feel. But, with the Jay Slater case, I try and be serious because it's a bloody serious case. But when these trolls are coming at you and say, it's a bit like they're going, nah, 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 nah. How do you argue with people like that, Duncan?
I think for fun, Jan, just for a short time, you can reduce yourself to their level and make a joke out of it. I think when Benji, good old Benji, who sees himself as the poet laureate, the great bard himself from Cardiff, when he was going on about Duncan and his 1 inch truncheon, I was like, yeah, but have you seen a photograph of my wife? She's absolutely gorgeous. So if the truncheon is 1 inch, I must be a bloody billionaire or something. And yet they all say, no, you're broadcasting from a closet, you're penniless. I'm like, well, both can't be true. One of them must be right. Otherwise, how does Mrs. Smith pop onto the scene here? So, you can make a joke about it. But it does, I mean, it will wear you out. If you were to address every single childish, nonsense that's thrown your way, you'd be worn out by it. But occasionally it's fun. And I think, Jan, I think you butt heads with Benji too, but I think you kind of enjoyed it in a way, didn't you? Giving your own back.
I did. They're my favourite videos where, I like to take the piss. And why not? It's creative. I'm a very creative person. And yeah, someone like Benji with his, Bill and Ben hat on and calling him Mr. Flowerpot Man. Yeah, that's right up my street. Come on, And then they get all serious. They don't like it. It's like, oh. Instead of having a laugh about it and saying, I don't know, just having a laugh about it, they get all serious. Like, oh, well, you've said this and you've said that. And I'm like, just shut up, man. You're sat there looking like Bill and Ben, the flower pot men. How am I going to take you seriously? So, yeah, and because I'm like that, a lot of them don't really know how to deal with me. But, in a balance, I am very dogmatic when I believe in something and, I'm not afraid to state my case. And I think they don't like strong women. Sorry, Dunks, I'm going to talk to Marianna now. Marianna, have you noticed they don't like us strong women, do they?
No, they absolutely hate it. And when you said the comment about obviously when you fight back and they don't like it, Oh, it's like they've got a broom up their butt. They really can't stand it, and that's why they come back with the personal attacks. That's why they go for family members. That's why they go on, like I said, personal attack with the rugs and stuff, because they've got nothing else to go on. Because these people don't know you in real life. They're going off of what they can see through your content. Oh yeah, because that's going to tell you a million stories about someone's personality and what they're about. Yeah, no, they hate it. They absolutely hate it, and I've worked that out. When it comes to women, it was women first they were going for, predominantly the women, and then eventually it started on the men. I want to say, Duncan, I want to say you were probably one of the first content creators that started getting it, if I'm honest, from my observations. There's some content creators that aren't getting it at all. But yeah, it is predominantly women.
What do you think, Dunks? Do you think you were the first? And how do we know? Does Wax get any? And I know that there are other creators. Oh, I can't remember that. Streamline Entertainment.
Marvin.
Does he get it as well? I mean, how many other people do you know that do get harassed and abused online?
Obviously, I would have no idea what happens in the background, like emails or personal messages. I wouldn't know about that. I mean, statement of the obvious, I think if you've had a long running monetized channel where you're naturally careful about what you say and you have more restrictions on what you can say if you're monetized, that's the honest truth. I think the Waxes and the Marvins of this world, they're naturally more cautious and careful about what they say and how they say it. Marianna is right. I think I had a lot of venom very, very early on because I was very, very different. I made it very clear that I don't care whether I have 5 people listening or 500 or 5,000. It makes no difference to what I'm going to say. I'm not monetized, so I will say whatever I want. The worst that can happen is I'll get a strike or something, or eventually the channel goes down, but then it comes back up again. And I think that was an amazing frustration for some of the trolls because the whole aim is to, either remove you or silence you or at least restrict you in some way. And I think it was very, very annoying that this old gimp in a closet that has nothing but a dodgy laptop and, gruff voice somehow keeps saying things that really piss us off. And I think that's the explanation in my case. But going back to the likes of Wax and Marvin, I don't think they get into the personal to and fro as much. I do for my faults, if you like. I will get into a video exchange with Sluggy. Chris doesn't seem to make any videos anymore, but I will do that, and I think Wax and Marvin are above that, which is good. Going back, sorry, one last point, if I may. Going back to the whole women being a target, the one time I felt that was definitely a case where it was wrong, 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 because generally I think, so what? You're a woman, you're going to expect the same treatment as a man. But it was when Sluggy was really up in Ali Harris's face outside the courtroom, Preston there. Older lady, and obviously not in the best of health, somewhat frail. The way he just went for her there, I thought, there we go. There is the ugly heart and soul of that man. He couldn't even muster the words of, something like, I know we've had our disagreements, but maybe we can chat about, what's happening in the courtroom there. It was just naked aggression from the very, very start. And his whole modus operandi is you lie or you do this. Well, okay, if that's your opening gambit, this is going to go very badly. So that was an incident there where I thought, yeah, that is definitely out of order. You don't speak to an older woman like that. If you do, you're going to get a lot of pushback, and he got a lot of pushback for it. Sluggy deserved a lot of, a lot of counter argument, let's say, to what he did there. That was just awful.
I have to say, I didn't see that.
Oh
I
yeah,
can't
oh
remember
yeah.
seeing that, Duncan, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I think these people are just so dogged about their efforts to get rid of people who are prepared to speak up. And yeah, that's disgusting, absolutely disgusting. Um, that, you know, they don't seem to take anything into account about, you know, who they're attacking. I mean, we're all YouTubers, and you have to be a certain type of person, I think, to put yourself on camera, and especially to if you've got, you know, something that you feel very strongly about. Um, I think, you know, there's not everybody that could do that. And I think, you know, especially like with, well, even so, the same with TikTok, really. So coming over to you, Marianna, when was the first time that you heard about Luggy and Chris Pennington and, you know, all the other people over that side, if you like? Did you know about them on TikTok?
So I knew obviously about Chris Tenerife, which is obviously Chris Pennington. We probably knew about him 2 to 3 weeks in since Joe went missing, because he used to obviously document him walking through the ravine and stuff like that, and Luggy was filming him. I probably came across Chris Tenerife on TikTok, so I got trolled heavily by a man called Tenerife Tom. Tenerife Tit, whatever you want to call him, for about 6 weeks. He had hundreds of fake accounts, and they were all brands. A lot of people thought Chris Tenerife was Chris Tom Tenerife. But no, Chris Tenerife, I probably would have found on TikTok, I want to say 2 months in, but I knew of him involved in the Jay Slater case probably 2 to 3 weeks in.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? And I remember at the beginning of the case, Duncan, that a lot of the information we were getting on YouTube was from TikTok creators. So I think their following, their sort of grip on it was quicker than on YouTube. And much. Do you remember that, Duncan? Where there was some guy, I can't remember his name now, who used to vlog from his car, and yeah, I don't know if they're still doing it.
Yeah, no, the early one. I think DTR was a TikToker. Callum was a TikToker. Younger crowd generally. Bits and Bobs, or Bobs and Bits, whoever he was. I think that's the guy you're talking about. He disappeared, but yeah, he was I think TikTok rather than YouTube. I can't remember, but yeah, initially it was a lot of and a lot of people in the Canaries, a lot of people from Tenerife. I think they were mainly TikTokers. Yeah, YouTube was a little bit slow to get up and running with it, but YouTube does longer videos, and I think it started to swing the other way. Those people that wanted, I don't know, 15, 20, 25 minutes of, for example, me just talking. And I originally I thought there's no market for this. No one wants to hear someone talk for 25 minutes and do nothing but talk. That was out there because a lot of our following, I don't know about you, Jan, I'll say my following, they are, older, retired people. They do have the time to listen for 20, 25, 30 minutes. And I think then the more substantial arguments were coming through on YouTube. You always get that free flow and lives. I think TikTok was very good for lives. You even had the likes of Rocky and Ayub doing stuff over there. But yeah, I always felt that YouTube was more, you could get into the substance of it. And when you think back to Mama D, for example, I mean, she would go into incredible detail, analyzing, photo, analyzing video, kind of thing you really don't see on TikTok. So, I agree with you 100%. I think the TikTokers were first off, and we got a lot of initial information from them. But I would say the real detailed analysis, especially with people like Wax, that was all YouTube, I think.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Not that I'm that familiar with TikTok, but I think just the general format is much easier on YouTube if you want to, you know, put together a video where you can show all the receipts and everything. I don't know how that works over on TikTok. Mariana can tell us a bit more about that. But also, Mariana, I want to make sure that you get everything out that you need to get out, and you know, just defend yourself if you feel like doing that. And yeah, let's hear from you again.
Oh God. um, well, firstly, I want to thank the people for the support I've had. If I'm honest, when I did deactivate my TikTok for quite a few days, I had a lot of people reaching out to me on Discord. I know Claire on here passed, one of your moderators passed a lot to me from people sending their regards and thoughts. So I do want to thank people for that. Um, Despite the trolls, I have got a lot of support behind me. I can't see anyone's comments in here, but I know my people are in here because I shared the link to them. And also, I want to thank yourselves, and I also want to thank Duncan for bringing me on this channel just to speak about it. But also, thank you for doing it at 8:30 because I'm medicated and I have to take my meds. But yeah, it's more so to the point of the public, not public. It's more so to the point of the personal attack. It's the whole drug thing. Like, funnily enough, 17th of June, 2024, the day Jay Slater went missing, was the day I decided I wasn't going to drink and do that anymore. And it started by doing a 100-day sober challenge. And I got to 100 days thinking 101 days, I'm going to have a cold pint. Didn't even touch it. So I've carried on going with it. And it's just like, I've got a lot of people on my TikTok that I network with. Thank you. That I network with. And that could be, say, for example, for mental health. I mean, I reach out to people if I'm struggling. I've got a really brilliant person that I talk to all the time. She's fantastic. But you've got obviously the mental health stuff. I help people with the substance abuse. I challenge people to 100 days and let me know how they're getting on and what day they're on. It's not just the Jay Slater content. I sing. I mean, I was professionally trained. I've been in private education my whole entire life. I've got degrees, this, that, and the other. But it's when they're going personally saying, I can't dance. I know I can because I can. I've passed all my exams and I've got distinctions in. I sing, I'm creative like yourself. I write a lot of music. My page isn't just the Jay Slater content. There's a lot more to it. But like I said, it's the personal attack. On me, I'm not really fussed. It's more so when it comes to my elderly parents and my brother who genuinely have nothing to do with my content.
Well, I'm just super proud of you, Mariana. Well done. And I think that's something that, you know, I was going to say trolls need to be aware of. You know, to be honest, a troll is going to troll. It doesn't matter. You could be lying in, you know, in your deathbed. They're just going to attack anyway. They really don't care. But from, you know, from someone that also struggles with mental health issues sometimes, I fully support you. You've got my email now. If you ever want to get in touch and say, Jan, whatever, do so. Okay, and I think you're doing fabulously. And also, as a mental health advocate as well, I fully appreciate that. And you're younger as well, so you're going to get to speak to people in your same age group, which is wonderful because there's so many people out there suffering with their mental health. We live in a very scary world at the moment, and if they can put, you know, even if they just look at it on their phone and they can relate to something or relate to something that somebody is saying, that's a wonderful thing to do. And I wish I've thought about doing that myself, but I mean my channel's a whole sort of conglomerate of loads of things because that's what I am. But you know, I want to say thank you so very much, Mariana. And if you ever want to join us again, you're perfectly welcome to. We'd love to have you up here. Thank you so very much. So, Dunks, would you like to speak any more about whatever? Talk about the fabulous trolls if you want to, or just say a goodbye message. I'll leave it up to you, Dunks.
No, I never just have a goodbye message. I've got loads more to say, so I'll just go on a little bit more. To Mariana, fantastic seeing you and joining us here. And just going to echo Jan, come back anytime because you have gone through a lot and you were one of the first ones and you went right out there and said what you thought and you got lambasted for it. But there were others that said, thank God there's someone out there saying it because it had to be said. So really appreciate your joining us here, Mariana. I don't know anything about mental health, so I really can't help anyone in that division. But what I could do, if ever you needed it, Mariana, I'm happy to make a 2 hour video describing exactly how shite Lola is. That might perk you up one day. That might be the way I can chip in there. I don't know. No, I do see Kaz Atlas in the comments. Jan, if you want to give Kaz one last chance to jump in there, I'll step down and Kaz can explain her point of view, but I don't think she wants to. Apart from that, Jan, I think we've dealt with the trolls as best we can. We march on. But yeah, thanks again, Jan, for hosting. Leave it up to you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Dunks, as always, wonderful to have you up. I mean, if you want to come up again soon, we could talk about Jay Slater forever. And there seems to be a lot of people that seem to like to do it. So, yeah, we can make it a regular thing. Dunks, I'm up for that on a Sunday. That's great. I was too busy with me Jamaican fam at the weekend to go live on Sunday. I was too busy eating me jerk chicken. But anyway, I don't know what's happened with this other woman, but what's her name? Kate Alice? Okay, I'm just scrolling by quickly. Where are you? Where are you? Kate, if you would like to come up, you're perfectly welcome. Duncan will stay on the panel because he is my guest. And I don't believe in shutting people up. But Kate, if you would like to come up, you're very welcome. Perhaps next Sunday. So anyway, thank you so much, Duncan, and thank you so much, Marianna. It's been wonderful seeing you two and chatting with you. We can do it again whenever you wish. So I want to say thank you also to my fabulous mods. Wonderful. Cheers, my dears. You were great. And also to the chatters. You're all wonderful. I hope you're taking care of yourselves. And I look forward to seeing you in the next live stream or even on a video. So whatever you do, you take care of yourselves out there because trust me, it's a rotten old world. So until the next one. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks for having us.